On August 7, 1944, as cold rain fell near Avranches, France, captured German officers like Oberst Wilhelm Dinkelmann of the 21st Panzer Division witnessed the bewildering reality of American industrial power. Stunned by the sight of a vast American supply depot, an endless panorama of olive-drab Willys Jeeps, GMC trucks, and M4 Sherman tanks, Dinkelmann realized the full extent of the German defeat. The sheer, casual abundance of vehicles and standardized supplies defied 6 years of Nazi propaganda that had mocked the U.S. as a nation of shopkeepers and gangsters incapable of building war machines. The passing flow of an organized, seemingly inexhaustible fleet, where maintenance crews could replace a fuel pump in minutes with standardized kits, revealed what Dinkelmann later called the mathematics of our defeat. He concluded, "One American supply dump contains more vehicles than my entire division had at full strength, and they act as if this is normal, as if there are 100 more such depots just behind them." The belief in American industrial and military weakness was a fatal error, deeply rooted in the Nazi leadership. Throughout the 1930s and early 1940s, Joseph Goebbels's Ministry of Propaganda portrayed the United States as a land of economic chaos, racial disharmony, and idle factories. Even after America entered the war, Hitler dismissed the threat, famously declaring that the U.S. was nothing more than beauty queens, millionaires, stupid records, and Hollywood. Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, despite his tactical brilliance, echoed this sentiment, telling his staff before the American entry into North Africa that the Americans have never been tested in battle. Their equipment is unproven, their tactics theoretical. The initial encounters seemed to confirm this bias. At the Kasserine Pass in February 1943, Rommel's veteran Afrika Korps inflicted a sharp tactical defeat, causing over 6,000 American casualties and destroying nearly 100 U.S. tanks. The German High Command celebrated this as proof of American softness. What they failed to grasp was the swiftness of American adaptation. General George S. Patton was sent to take command of the demoralized U.S. II Corps. Under his ruthless leadership, the American forces rapidly transformed, pushing Rommel's forces back across Tunisia within weeks. By May 1943, the Americans, alongside Allied forces, trapped over 275,000 German and Italian troops in Tunisia, forcing a mass surrender comparable to Stalingrad. Yet, the myth of qualitative German superiority persisted. Colonel Hans von Luck, who served under Rommel, later wrote that they were told the Americans had quantity, but not quality, until we faced them in battle after battle and watched them learn and adapt with a speed that seemed impossible. The true awakening for the German military came in the summer of 1944 with Operation Cobra and the unleashing of the U.S. Third Army under Patton. By then, American industrial production had reached levels that German economists had deemed impossible. The scale of this output was staggering. The Willow Run bomber plant, a single factory in Michigan, was producing one B-24 Liberator heavy bomber every 63 minutes, outproducing the entire German aircraft industry. In 1943 alone, American factories built over 86,000 tanks and armored fighting vehicles, compared to Germany's total of 17,000. For every ship a German U-boat sank, American shipyards launched 3 more. This overwhelming output was ignored by the German High Command. When Patton's Third Army was activated on August 1, 1944, Major Erwin Schmidt, a German intelligence officer, warned that they had over 500,000 men with over 1,000 tanks and nearly 3,000 artillery pieces. His warnings were dismissed by Field Marshal Günther von Kluge, who replaced the injured Rommel as logistically impossible. Von Kluge could not conceive of an army sustaining such a force through the small ports the Allies controlled. What the Germans fundamentally failed to grasp was the revolution in American logistics. The Red Ball Express, a massive truck convoy system established in August 1944, would soon move over 7,000 tons of supplies daily to the front. Over 6,000 trucks maintained a constant rapid flow of fuel, ammunition, and spare parts. The activation of Patton's army signaled an unprecedented pace of mobile warfare. Within 24 hours of activation, the Third Army was in motion, making a sharp turn eastward toward the Seine River. German commanders were expecting a methodical, cautious advance. Instead, they faced a whirlwind. Oberleutnant Friedrich Weber, a panzer commander, recalled that American tanks came at us like cavalry in broad formation at speeds we thought impossible to maintain in combat. The key was American logistical and industrial philosophy, standardization, rapid replacement, and abundance. Unlike German doctrine, which required weeks for elaborate field repairs, American maintenance teams could replace entire assemblies, engines, transmissions, or gun assemblies, in hours rather than days, using standardized, interchangeable modules, a concept they termed repair forward. Patton's forces did not stop at night. They moved continuously, supported by innovative practices like aerial resupply and mobile quartermaster units pushing forward with the combat elements. On August 4th, Patton's forces seized Rennes. By August 8th, they were at Le Mans, over 120 miles from their start. The entire German defensive strategy depended on an operational pause that never came. The pace of the American advance defied all pre-war military doctrine. German planners, constrained by their own limited logistics, could not conceive of an army advancing more than 20 miles per day for more than 2 or 3 days. Patton's sustained pace of 40 to 60 kilometers daily shattered this assumption. The disparity in resources was stark. A standard American infantry division had over 2,000 motorized vehicles, compared to approximately 200 for its German equivalent. Every component on an American Sherman tank was standardized, allowing for rapid field replacement. By contrast, German tanks like the Panther, though individually excellent, had components that often varied between production batches, hindering battlefield repair. The psychological impact on German soldiers was profound. They were astonished by the individual equipment standard issued to an American private. Multiple uniforms, cold weather gear, portable stoves, items reserved for German officers. Furthermore, the sheer weight of American fire was shocking. By 1944, U.S. factories were producing over 20 million artillery shells per month. While a German gun might fire 20 to 30 rounds in a preparatory bombardment due to conservation, American guns would fire hundreds of rounds per gun for hours, without any apparent concern for conservation. The pinnacle of the advance came between August 20th and August 30th, 1944, when Patton's Third Army covered over 600 miles from the Seine River to the Meuse. They consumed over 350,000 gallons of fuel per day and maintained an operational readiness rate of over 87% for all vehicles. Patton had advanced at an average of 60 miles per day, tripling the pace of the famed German blitzkrieg of 1940. The German military had reached its culminating point years earlier due to resource constraints. The Americans, by contrast, seemed to have no culminating point. Field Marshal Gerd von Rundstedt, commander of German forces in the West, summarized the conceptual defeat after the war. Before the Americans entered the war, I thought that all they could do was make refrigerators and razor blades. I've learned they're even better at making tanks and planes and ships, and at making soldiers who know how to use them. The myth of American weakness was shattered forever. The greatest defeat suffered by the Germans was not merely military, it was conceptual. As Colonel Dinkelman wrote in his diary, "I came to France believing I was fighting for German culture against American materialism. I leave France understanding that I was actually witnessing the birth of a new form of warfare, one in which the assembly line has become more powerful than the front line." The unstoppable advance was a testament to a new model of military power, one where industrial capacity, standardization, and logistical innovation had become the true foundations of modern conflict.